Daredevil is pretty much as on top of the world as he's ever been right now, and that's certainly due, at least in part, to being the centerpiece of Marvel's Netflix lineup. It hasn't always been that easy though, and there have certainly been past stumbling blocks that the man without fear couldn't see coming. Blind joke. Am I okay to make a blind joke?
Well, it dances the line between tasteless and disrespect, but I think you're okay.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are 10 things Marvel wants you to forget about Daredevil. Number 10. The 90s! Sandwiched between Frank Miller's iconic run and that revitalized series by Bendis and Malieve, Matt Murdock had something of a wilderness period. In fact, the comic industry as a whole sort of collapsed in on itself during the decade, Marvel especially, with the comic book boom at the start of the 90s sharply plummeting to the extent that the publisher went bankrupt financially as well as creatively. Fans felt the creative side far more strongly though, and aside from Miller and Romita Jr. returning for the Man Without Fear miniseries, the 90s was bad for Daredevil. He redesigned his costume to look goofy as balls, and his classic billy clubs went all Ninja Turtles by being able to form nunchucks or a bow staff. It wasn't good. Number 9. That terrible film. His last appearance in movie form, played by Ben Affleck, was a bit rubbish. It's not totally irredeemable, as the reverent fans of the director's cut will tell you, but still, it has way too much new metal, way too much sub-matrix wire work stuff, terrible special effects, and Colin Farrell with a shaved head and a target carved into his forehead. It's God. Plus, there's an Evanescence song, which is all over the film, to the point that the music video involves the gothy lot flouncing about with Daredevil in the background. It could have been good, working with some classic Miller comics, but it was completely middle of the road, uninspiring, and just generally a poorly made superhero flick. Number 8. His arch-nemesis was nicked from Spider-Man. The past 30 or so years of Daredevil have mainly focused on his constant struggles against one man, Wilson Fisk, better known as New York's Kingpin of crime. The two have clashed umpteen times, with the hero trying to bring the constantly law-dodging villain to justice, and Fisk managing on multiple occasions to drive Daredevil to madness. At this point, the two are inextricably linked, which is why Marvel tend to keep it quiet that the character was actually first introduced as a Spider-Man villain, even appearing in the Webheads 90s cartoon. You remember him? He's fat, there he is. Number 7. Him and Black Widow. Much like his frequent sparring buddy and New York neighbor Spider-Man, Matt Murdock's only ever as strong as the ensemble around him, but there's another major figure in Daredevil's life who already exists in the Marvel movies, but given the way she's been set up in the film so far, you're unlikely to see their paths cross. There was a time when Black Widow was such an integral part of Daredevil comics that she essentially had co-headlining status on the book. Matt and Natasha were crime-fighting and romantic partners, and it's a relationship that's been referred to endlessly since. It wouldn't make sense in the MCU, so expect it to continue to be all but ignored. Number 6. His original costume. One of the few things Ben Affleck's interpretation of Daredevil got right was bringing that comic book costume into live action, maintaining the horned mask and scarlet coloring while giving it a tough leather motorbike clothes look. It looks a bit rubbish now. Even Charlie Cox's Daredevil started off looking a bit like a child in his pajamas pretending to be a ninja. That was later rectified. They were building to it. But did you ever see the original costume the comic book Daredevil wore? Just look at those garish combinations of red and bright yellow. Meow, am I right? Anyone? Matt Murdock's visual impairment has to be partially responsible for this. That's a second blind joke. Peter? Oh, Peter's gone. Number 5. That Jack Kirby helped create him. In the case of Daredevil, of course, Smilin' Stan Lee gets the majority of the credit for creating the character, and to be fair, he did write the first 50 or so issues of the book. Lee's most frequently credited co-creator of Daredevil, artist Bill Everett, didn't do nearly as much. It was actually Jack Kirby that did most of the heavy lifting. Kirby also co-created most of the Avengers, mostly with Stan Lee, and doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for that, but he still gets essentially no credit for inventing the iconic Billy Club weapon and most of that daft original costume, and that's probably not going to change, sadly. Number 4. Both the times his sight was healed. The entire gimmick of Daredevil is that he's a hero who turns a perceived weakness into a strength. So Daredevil can't see, but he sort of can thanks to his super hearing, sense of smell and all that stuff. But along with being a cool setup, it gave us a blind superhero, which is really cool. This is why it would be really stupid to heal his sight, right? In the sci-fi world of Marvel, where people frequently return from the dead, that shouldn't be a problem. Should be easy, right? But it would also break the character, which is why they haven't done it, apart from when they did. First, when an evil Iron Man did it without Matt's consent, and a one-off where he regains his sight for just a day, which is cruel. That's just cruel, that. Number 3. The time he fought against gas vapor. The world of educational comic books. books. Over the years, there have been comics created to teach kids about the horrors of child sexual abuse with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and the importance of wearing seatbelts with help from Supergirl, who flies and is invincible and so has never been in a car wearing a seatbelt. One of the most ridiculous of these comics, though, was a Daredevil book produced with the help of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which involved Matt Murdock doing battle against Vapora, the physical manifestation of dangerous petrol fumes which you absolutely must never huff. You get it right, because it's dangerous and you can't see it, which is sort of like Daredevil. No, it's not. It's nothing like Daredevil. Number 2. Most of his villains. Whilst he has the iconic arch-nemesis Kingpin, alongside the sometimes creepy and sometimes silly assassin Bullseye, those two are worlds away from most of his rogues gallery. There's gang boss the Owl, who along with being a brutal criminal leader, is also a man who is part owl. He has claws and flies and his hair looks like an owl and he eats rats, but it gets worse. One of the most consistently recurring villains Matt Murdock has dealt with is Stilt Man, whose powers are literally that he has a robot suit with really long legs, and it gets even worse though. Introducing Leapfrog, who dresses like a frog and can leap far. God, Jesus. Number 1. All the other attempts to make a TV series. The character should now be best known for his Netflix efforts, but he's been a star of the small screen much longer than you might think. David Bowie's wife, Angela, for example, once tried to get a TV show about Daredevil off the ground, which is weird. In 1975, she secured the rights and shopped around a project that had her as Black Widow and actor Ben Carruthers as Matt Murdock, and it didn't get anywhere for some reason, but it wasn't the last time someone would try. A couple of animated series were floated, including one where Daredevil would be paired with a crime-fighting guide dog called Lightning. There was a brief appearance in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and a cameo in the 90s Fantastic Four show. ABC then failed to try to get another live-action pilot made, and the TV movie The Trial of the Incredible Hulk was supposed to lead into a Daredevil show. The animated stuff was good, but don't talk about the live-action work. Marvel have all but buried all trace of their existence, and if you ask too much, they'll bury you too. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the What Culture Comics YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from What Culture, and thanks for watching.